Good morning, book fighters. Today is January 2nd, and welcome into the new year. So this week I was really organised and I made a video early last week, except not early last week, on Thursday, and I went out into the hills of Aberdeen and made a very amusing video of me walking my mum's two dogs and reviewing Narnia, and it looked a lot like this. Good morning, book fighters. Today is Monday, January 3rd, and today I am vlogging. I was taking my mum's dogs for a walk. There they are, walking. But then the problem was I watched Katie's video, which is always the problem with recording videos early. But then so many things changed. For example, I was sitting there watching Katie's video.
So this month I'm going to be rereading The Lord of the Rings, which means this week I am reading The Fellowship of the Rings. Kalinda's doing this also. She's the reason that I'm doing it. And we're also going to watch the extended editions of the movies.
And then I was all like, I want to join in. So I'll do the video again and I will give you snippets of the other video that I made, because it's quite funny. I'm struggling to hold the dogs and they're just pulling me along and I'm bobbing, and there's the snow as well. Snow is always good. This week I read The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and I was hoping actually that but it's been snowing here all week and I was hoping it'd actually look a bit like Narnia. You can see the kind of the remains of the snow. I mean, literally, it was so deep. You had to trudge around in it, and any weather where you have to, use the verb trudge is pretty deep weather. So the books that I read this week, I think you probably all read them. You've all read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe if you hadn't read Magician's Nephew. And one of the things that I noticed, particularly with The Magician's Nephew, was actually how similar to A Wrinkle in Time it was. It was very short. It was very short, and it again didn't feel fully fleshed out. Like the character of Diggory, who lives with his aunt and uncle. He could have had so much more backstory. We could have known a lot more about him. There could have been a big build-up about, there could have been more characterization, and there just wasn't. And I think, obviously, a lot of it's to do with the fact that these books are written for kids, which they are. But I don't get that with The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe does seem a lot more fleshed out. There is a lot more characterization. It is a lot more fuller. The Magician's Nephew, like it actually was. It's not, it seems like it was number one. It was actually written much later, and it does kind of feel like an afterthought. But nevertheless, I enjoyed it. I've read it before, but you always you get the backstory of Narnia and things like that, which is really cool. So yeah, I enjoyed them both. One other thing I wanted to say about Narnia, which is why it unsettled me as a kid, and it unsettles me now, is the passage of time. Like, when you're reading Harry Potter, you follow these kids, and it's very gradual, and it's very human-like passage of time. But when you're reading Narnia, like, from one book to the next, so many years pass by. Like, for example, you're following Diggory in The Magician's Nephew, and you like him, and he's a boy, and then all of a sudden he's an old man, and it just puts into perspective the timeline of life, and it's very unsettling to me. And it's the same thing with Narnia. And obviously, like, you've got all the Christian allegory of, like, living the kind of spiritual life, and then accepting death, really, like Reaper Cheap does. But it just makes me very uncomfortable. If anyone else has read them, I'd like to hear their thoughts on that, but don't go out your way to satisfy that need. So yeah, this week what I was going to do, because I finished the book so early, because they are so short, I was going to read the second George R.R. Martin book, A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's big and I needed like a week and a half to read it, so I had that time. But then I seen your video and you're in the Fellowship of the Ring, and I thought I'd want to read the Fellowship of the Ring as well, because also in my Snowy Walk video I said this. And I'm really enjoying this fantasy kick that I'm on at the moment. I'm actually in the middle of writing a fantasy thing. I'm not going to call it a novel because it probably won't get finished, but so I'm kind of in the mood of reading all different types of fantasy stuff. And then I think actually January might very well be fantasy month, so it fits in with my January month. I don't know what I'm going to do about that George R. R. Martin book. They are just so big. They are just so big. Katie, in your video you're saying about the Kindle and you're supposed to get to independent bookstores and whatever, and like I'm sitting there having just read 2 Narnia books on my Kindle. I mean, there was no need for me to. I have a Narnia box set with them in, but I still read them on because I like it. I'm like, oh, it's machine, but it looks like paper. I don't know. It's childish. But yeah. But this copy of Lord of the Rings I bought from Oxfam, so you know, charity. That's good. Your question about how was my 2010? My 2010 was jam packed. I moved off to university, which is exciting, living in London, and I met all you wonderful people, and I read more books than I think I've ever read in a year in 6 months, which is awesome. And to be honest, I can't complain. I've had a really great year. I had a really great Christmas, and I'm in a good place at the moment. I have a question. Do you have any New Year's resolutions? I have 2. One is to write and finish the novel that I'm working on, and number 2 is to learn Italian. I found this. I know what you're thinking. That's quite a serious goal to try and accomplish, but I really like Italy, and I want to travel there more, so I've decided I want to learn Italian. I found this brilliant website called livemocker.com, and they pair you up with someone who's Italian, and you kind of teach each other, so that's what I'm going to do. So, does anyone else have any? Okay, McFighters, that's my video for this week, and Lauren, I will undoubtedly see you tomorrow.